Labour report from the Democratic Alliance, Saturday the 15th of August 2020. As we are about to commemorate the Marikana massacre, it's now the 8th anniversary, we remember and mourn the death of 47 miners and police officers. We must also remember the cause of this disaster. South Africa has always had a volatile labour environment. First of all, caused by the unfair and unjust laws of apartheid in the past, and today is by the harsh regulatory environment that our government has imposed on the workforce. The unemployment rate prior to lockdown was, and as I've always said, probably the worst in the world. We had about 10 million unemployed South Africans prior to going into the lockdown. This unemployment rate was unacceptable, and government was doing absolutely nothing to try and correct it. We had all sorts of job summits, and they spent billions of rands on all sorts of schemes and efforts, and they created no jobs. It was a shame on the government at the time. However, as we entered into the COVID-19 period, a lot of us agreed on the first 21 days of lockdown. We agreed that we needed to get the hospitals ready. We agreed that we needed to get the flattened curve, all those good things. Of course, 3/4 of the country did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. We saw in the Western Province, at least, that they got their hospitals together, they got themselves geared to flatten that curve and to be able to cope with the disaster that we were facing. But I don't think any other province did it. Not one other province. The Western Province needs to be applauded. Next week is the 5th month since the decimation of our economy and the jobs massacre that we're seeing. I'm Michael Bagram, the Labour spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance. The Democratic Alliance has been calling almost over the past 5 months for the opening of the economy. Yes, we did agree to the 21 days. And then we started seeing the disaster of unemployment ratcheting up at an enormous rate. We are told by the Treasury that in that first month of the lockdown, we saw almost 3 million jobs being lost. 3 million, on top of the 10 million that we had before as we entered into this problem area that we're experiencing right now. Obviously, we were all relying, I don't know why, but we were all relying on the proper functioning of the Department of Employment and Labour. Now, to rely on that is probably a ridiculous statement. You feel like you're in Alice in Wonderland. Why? Because the UIF has been partially dysfunctional for many years. We've now experienced complete and utter destruction of the Unemployment Insurance Fund. We know that the Compensation Fund for the past 20 years has not been able to deliver. How can we expect them to start delivering now in this COVID-19 period? We can't. We've asked, as the Democratic Alliance, we've asked to hand over the functioning and the payment functioning of the UIF to SARS, the Revenue Service. I think they did approach SARS and it did help a little bit, but it certainly has been destructive ever since, and they haven't involved SARS in the payout. And we've had disaster after disaster. Never mind COVID-19. The lockdown has destroyed the economy. As we're starting to see people get sick at the workplace, we are begging the Minister of Employment and Labour to hand over that functioning to one of the medical aids. The big medical aids can handle this very easily. Or the big insurance companies can handle it very easy. But no, this is not happening. So we're expecting to have more and more problems with that. Obviously, the Democratic Alliance is not going to stop. We are worried about the workforce of South Africa. We're worried about the health of the workforce of South Africa. And we're certainly worried about the economy. The situation with the Department of Employment and Labour has worsened. And the retrenchments carry on unabated. I think we've added since the end of April probably probably 1 million people going onto the unemployment queues. I know I daily do drive past the CCMA and I see the queues On one occasion, I actually spoke to people in the queue itself. People have been retrenched. People are challenging their retrenchments. It's not good. It carries on unabated. Well, to add to that, we have a fantastic news from the civil servants. They want to go on a mass strike. They've approached the court and they're looking to go on a mass strike. They've threatened us at NEDLAC, which is the debating chamber. We can expect that strike to come about. Whether it's legal or not, I think they're going to go ahead with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. But on the same hand, we have COSATU attacking government and telling them that we want to go back to work. Have you ever heard that before? Well, how mad is that? On the one hand, they want to go on strike. On the other hand, they want to go back to work. I don't understand it. No one understands it. I'm not sure if one hand of COSATU understands the other hand. I do, however, see a light at the end of the tunnel. The Western Province is starting to show growth. They've put into place systems, protocols, structures through fantastic organisations such as Wesgrow. And the Premier, Alan Wendy, was so forward-thinking it's unbelievable. They are starting to grow again. Even during the pandemic and the lockdown, the Western Province is starting to show that we can turn the corner. They've flattened the curve, that's for sure, of the pandemic, but that's not as important as they're putting people back into the workplace. I know that our Premier in the Western Province, Alan Wendy, has held out a hand of friendship to other provinces. That hand of friendship was extended, for instance, to the Northern Cape, and it looks like there can be some cooperation. Put politics aside. The Democratic Alliance is not wedded to just helping people who are like-minded political thinkers. That's not the case. The case is we are all South Africans. We need to help everyone. And I, in my particular small office as a Labour spokesperson, have been receiving 250, 300 emails a day. When I started investigating and just asking, how do you get my number? How do you get my email address? How did you get to me? Many of these people are city councillors across the country. People I've never heard of, never seen, don't know. Wonderful people. People who are begging for help for their constituents. People are saying that they have mothers who can't feed their babies. They have head of households who can't bring any bread onto the table. And I'm hearing them, I'm writing to the Commissioner, and I'm begging the Commissioner, please help these people. In asking them, and I was interested to know where they come from. Who do they represent? What do they do? Interested in people. And I found out that the majority of them are not Democratic Alliance commissioners, Democratic Alliance representatives. They come from every other party, including the ANC and the EFF, IFP. Doesn't matter who they are. And I'm interested to ask, what's happened to your MPs? What's happened to your representatives? They're telling me across the board that people are missing in action. I don't know why. So I'm happy to help if I've got the capacity. I did turn to my chief whip, Patricia Mazzoni, and I said, you don't mind me helping people from the EFF, ANC, IFP, whatever. And she said, they are people. Their constituents are starving. Let's help them. Let's do something. Let's make it happen. Never mind the politics. Let's go for it. It's the same viewpoint that Alan Wendy has. Let's help everyone in this province. Let's help the other provinces. So my message is, let's see that light at the end of the tunnel. Let's put together an effort. Let's pull through this pandemic and the lockdown as South Africans. Let's make it work. Thank you for listening to me today. I appreciate it. Saturday, the 15th of August, on the commemoration of the Marikana massacre, which is tomorrow. Please spare a thought for those families. And thank you. This is a message from the Democratic Alliance.